She was once the woman behind golf's golden boy, Tiger Woods. Elin Nordegren was silent, graceful, and always just 0,088 seconds out of reach. But after she experienced one of the most public betrayals in sports history, she suddenly disappeared 0,1515 seconds from the public's eye. But what exactly happened to Elin Nordegren? And was she destroyed by the public betrayal? Well, 0,2323 seconds. It turns out that Elin quietly resurfaced somewhere no one expected, 0,2828 seconds, and she's currently living a life that would leave you absolutely stunned. You may have heard the headlines, but the 0,3535 seconds real truth about her divorce from Tiger Woods never made it to the front page. 0,4040 seconds, and when you see how she's currently living, you'll be surprised. The fairy tale beginning. Before she became one of 0,4848 seconds the most talked about women in sports media history, Elin Nordegren lived a quiet, disciplined life in Stockholm, 0,5555 seconds Sweden. A world away from the relentless spotlight that would later consume her. 1 o'clock. Born on January 1, 1980, Elin was raised in an educated and politically engaged family. Her mother, Barbara 109 Hallberg, was a respected politician and eventually served as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy, while 117 her father, Thomas Nordegren, was a well-known radio journalist and foreign correspondent who often traveled for 124 work. From a young age, Elin was surrounded by serious-minded, driven individuals who valued privacy, 131 intellect, and hard work. Elin's family was stable, grounded, and relatively shielded from public curiosity. In fact, 139 right from her youth, Elin wasn't drawn to fame or attention. She studied diligently, held part-time jobs, and 147 occasionally modeled to help support herself financially. Despite some photo shoots early in her life for some 154 Swedish magazines, Elin actually never pursued modeling as a full-time career. 2 o'clock. Her move to the United States happened by chance and practicality. After completing high school, she worked in a 207 clothing store, which is where she first met Mia Parnevik, wife of Swedish pro golfer Jasper Parnevik. Impressed by 215 Elin's demeanor and trustworthiness, Mia offered her a job as a nanny for their children. Elin accepted and moved to 222 the United States, where she lived with the Parniks in Florida. Jesper Parnevik, being deeply embedded in the world of 230 professional golf, often attended professional golf events and socialized with fellow players. Through this close-knit circle, Elin was gradually 239 introduced to American sports celebrities, and one of them was Tiger Woods, who was at the absolute peak of his career at the time. With multiple 248 major titles under his belt and a billion-dollar brand emerging around his name, Tiger was a global phenomenon. But 256. When he first noticed Elin, he wasn't the only one interested. According to interviews and reports from the time, 303 several golfers were eager to meet her. 305, but it was Tiger who made the lasting impression. Initially, Elin had no interest in dating him. Jesper Parnik 313 later admitted in interviews that she had a firm stance on avoiding the celebrity chaos that surrounded top-tier 320 athletes. Her quiet, low-profile life had not prepared her for a relationship with someone constantly under the 327 scrutiny of paparazzi and tabloids. It reportedly took several months and a few persistent attempts by Tiger before she 336 agreed to go on a date. But what followed was a whirlwind romance that began with quiet dinners and private getaways, but soon ballooned into one of 345 the most public relationships in the world of sports. In 2003, the couple got engaged during a trip to South Africa 353 where Tiger was competing in a tournament. The proposal took place at the ultra-luxurious Shamori Game Reserve, known for its secluded Beauty 402 and wildlife safaris. Less than a year later, in October 2004, they married on the Caribbean island of Barbados. The 411 wedding took place at the opulent Sandy Lane Resort, one of the most expensive and exclusive venues in the world. The 418 ceremony was everything you'd expect from a golf icon and his bride. Grand yet extremely private. The guest list 426 included high-profile celebrities and sports royalty. Dozens of security guards were reportedly stationed across 434 the property to keep media and onlookers away. The event was a symbol of status, 439 wealth, and exclusivity, but it was also a reminder of how different Elin's life had become. In the years that followed, for 47 the couple retreated to a massive mansion in Windermere, Florida. The estate was complete with everything from private docks to advanced security 456 systems. Elin kept a very low profile despite being one half of what many considered the golden couple. She rarely gave interviews or made appearances, 507, while Tiger, on the other hand, was as visible as ever, winning tournaments, 512 appearing in commercials and expanding his global empire. In 2007, the couple welcomed their first child, a daughter 520 named Sam Alexis Woods. Elin gave birth the day after Tiger finished second in the US Open, rushing back to be by her 528 side. In 2009, their son Charlie Axel Woods was born. Publicly, they were a picture of a modern, successful family. 537 two beautiful children, a powerful father at the top of his game, and a devoted mother who chose home life over celebrity exposure. For many years, 547 there were no visible signs of trouble. 549 they vacationed in the Bahamas, attended select events, and carefully managed their public image. Elin, despite being 557 one of the most sought-after figures by entertainment outlets, continued to avoid the spotlight entirely. She rarely 605 spoke to the press and never cashed in on her status. In fact, she was known for actively turning down interview 612 requests, even when offered significant compensation. Behind closed doors, 617 however, Elin reportedly struggled with the pressure that came from being the wife of a living sports legend. She was 625 described as someone who missed the anonymity of her earlier life, shopping in peace, going for walks unnoticed, and 632 enjoying conversations without cameras nearby. Life in the shadow of Tiger Woods' fame meant that every detail, even 640 the most mundane, could potentially make headlines. The couple's home life was intentionally guarded. Even their 647 wedding photos remained private. There were no reality shows, no interviews, 653 and no social media posts. Elin's public silence became part of her identity, and it only fueled further curiosity. She 701 became the mystery behind the icon, and a woman everyone saw, but no one really knew. Yet, the intensity of that life 709 began to wear thin. As Tiger's fame grew and the media machine became more invasive, the challenges of preserving 717 privacy multiplied. For someone who had never sought the public eye to begin with, the experience of being thrust into one of the most scrutinized marriages in the world was jarring. 728 still, at this point in time, nothing had publicly cracked. The world saw a loving father, a devoted mother, and a 736 life that seemed tailor-made for fairy tales. That's why when everything fell apart, it wasn't just a scandal. It was 744 absolutely shocking. The cracks beneath the surface. From the outside, Tiger Woods was the man who could do no wrong. 752 by the late 2000s, he had already cemented his place as one of the most dominant athletes in history. He was not 759 only breaking records, but rewriting the entire framework of professional golf. 804 major endorsements, luxury lifestyle partnerships, and billion-dollar brand associations followed him wherever he 812 went. His face was synonymous with discipline, focus, and relentless excellence. But as the pressure to 820 maintain that image grew, cracks began to form beneath the glossy surface. By 2008, Tiger was in a different league, 829 not just as a golfer, but as a brand. 832 everything about him was calculated to maintain a flawless image. He was a global ambassador for Nike, a staple in 839 Gillette commercials, and the face of countless other major companies. 844 however, that level of success came at a cost. Behind the scenes, people close to the golf world had begun to notice 851 changes and subtle signs that something was off. There were whispers about his erratic schedule, about strange excuses 859 for solo trips, and about a growing emotional distance between him and Elin, 904 as well as the visible signal that the aura of invincibility that had once surrounded Tiger was beginning to fade. 911 there were also physical strains. Tiger underwent multiple knee surgeries, 916 including a major one in 2008 after winning the US Open on what he later revealed was a broken leg. The pain was 924 excruciating and his ability to play at peak level depended heavily on medication. Reports would later suggest 931 that Tiger became reliant on painkillers which compounded his stress and disrupted his sleep cycle. He was 938 rumored to suffer from chronic insomnia leading to long nights filled with restlessness and isolation. The balance 945 between personal well-being and public expectation was unraveling in slow motion. In hindsight, many now believe 953 that Tiger's internal battles, which included emotional exhaustion, physical pain, and the suffocating weight of 10 o'clock perfection, created the perfect environment for reckless choices that were symptoms of a life lived under relentless pressure. Woods found himself 1009 living with a kind of pressure that can blur judgment, distort priorities, and convince even the most disciplined 1016 individuals that secrecy is the only way to survive. But the breaking point for Woods came in the early hours of 10:23 November 27, 2009 during Thanksgiving weekend while the Woods family was at their Windermere home in Florida. What 10:32 exactly happened that night remains a matter of conflicting accounts and speculation, but the outcome was impossible to ignore. At approximately 10:42:30 a.m., Tiger crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant and a tree just a few feet from his driveway. 10:49 initial reports painted it as a minor accident, but the details quickly spiraled into something much more complicated. According to multiple 10:58 sources, earlier that night, Elin had confronted Tiger over suspicious text messages she found on his phone. The 11:05 messages were allegedly between Tiger and another woman, one of the several women he was later linked to. What followed, according to law enforcement 11:14 and reports at the time, was a heated argument. Elin may have demanded answers and Tiger may have tried to deflect. But 11:22 in the chaos that followed, it was rumored that Elin grabbed a golf club not to attack him, but to smash the back 11:30 window of the SUV as he tried to drive away. When neighbors came outside after hearing the crash, they found Tiger 11:37 unconscious on the ground and his wife standing over him. Emergency responders arrived and took him to a nearby hospital. The initial police statement 11:46 was vague and avoided anything that might have hinted at domestic conflict. 11:50 But the tabloids, already chasing rumors of infidelity, dug deeper, and what they uncovered sent shock waves through the sports world. In the days that followed, 12:01 women began to come forward. One after another, the names of various waitresses, nightclub workers, and women 12:08 from various cities who claimed to have had affairs with Tiger during his marriage emerged. The number kept growing. Some provided voicemails and 12:17 text messages as proof. Others sold their stories to tabloids. It became a full-scale media crisis. Every detail, 12:25 no matter how small or unverified, was dissected and broadcast around the world. The backlash was pretty devastating for Woods. Corporate sponsors began distancing themselves. 12:37 Accenture was the first to drop Tiger entirely, ending a 6-year sponsorship. 12:42 Gillette scaled back his role in their campaigns. Even Gatorade, which had launched a custom Tiger-focused drink, 12:50 pulled the product quietly from shelves. 12:52 The man who once embodied discipline and trust, was now seen as a walking PR disaster. The fallout wasn't just about infidelity. It was about image, 13:02 deception, and a carefully constructed narrative unraveling in real time. Tiger eventually issued a public apology. A 13:10 carefully worded statement followed by a press conference in February 2010. He admitted to letting down his family. 13:18 expressed remorse and announced that he would be taking an indefinite break from professional golf. For someone who had once thrived on routine and rigorous training, it was a stunning decision. 13:29 The sport moved on without him and so did the rankings. By the end of 2010, 13:35 Tiger had failed to win a single tournament for the first time since turning pro. His world ranking plummeted from number 1 to number 58 within a 13:44 year. And amid all this, Elin maintained complete silence. There were no interviews, angry statements, or 13:51 public appearances that hinted at her state of mind. The same woman who had resisted fame from the very beginning 13:59 now refused to use it, even when the world was practically begging her to speak. News outlets speculated endlessly. Was she going to leave him? 14:08 Was she being paid to stay quiet? Was there more to the story than what had come out? She was often seen in public 14:15 without Tiger, attending her children's school functions, or visiting family in Sweden, but her composure remained 14:22 intact, and her silence became almost symbolic and a stark contrast to the noise around her. In a culture obsessed 14:30 with scandal and revenge, her refusal to play into the media circus only deepened the respect many felt for her. 14:37 Unfortunately, behind the scenes, the marriage was crumbling. Trust had been broken in such a public and painful way that reconciliation seemed impossible. 14:48 Elin had reportedly moved into another home temporarily, needing space to think and protect her children from the chaos. 14:55 The media camped outside her neighborhood. Photographers tried to capture her every move. And yet, through it all, she never once gave them what 15:04 they were looking for. But the silence couldn't hold back what was coming. 15:08 Because after the scandal broke, the world began watching her every move. 15:13 Elin was caught at the center of the media storm and was forced to navigate the wreckage of her private life under a global microscope. But the decision she 15:22 made next shocked the fans and the general public. The divorce and media frenzy. In August 2010, less than a year 15:31 after Tiger Woods' life imploded in full view of the public, Elin Nordegren filed for divorce. There was no dramatic 15:38 press conference, court outburst, or tabloid-leaked legal letters. Instead, 1544 their attorneys released a brief joint statement confirming that the marriage was officially over. The divorce had been finalized in a Florida court, and 1552 both parties had signed a custody agreement for the sake of their 2 children, Sam and Charlie. The official tone was calm and businesslike. But to 1601 the fans who had followed their marriage for years, it marked the end of a very public unraveling. For months, the press 1609 had camped outside Elin's home, followed her to the gym, and speculated on her next move with relentless energy. And 1616 yet throughout it all, she never lashed out or tried to win the public over with interviews. She didn't even try to take 1624 revenge on Woods by giving the tabloids what they wanted. Instead, she focused on protecting her children and salvaging 1632 what privacy she could from a situation that had taken nearly everything from her. Reports at the time claimed that the divorce settlement was pretty huge. 1642 it was estimated at around $100 million, 1646 making it one of the most expensive celebrity divorces in history. While the actual figures were never officially confirmed, the financial terms became a without second.